Hey guys, welcome back. Good news. Madden NFL 24 content. That's right. I'm in the process of reworking my 2024 draft class. It's going to be released after all the players have declared. The deadline is January 15th. So this upcoming update will have guys who've declared, everybody who's going to be a part of the Senior Bowl, and of course, fully updated rankings for all 450 players. So stay tuned for that. This video right here is the top 10 players on my new draft board. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about every player. I'm not a scout. I'm not an expert. So these are just my thoughts and why I have players ranked where I have them ranked. So let's get started. Number 1, Caleb Williams, quarterback for USC. So he's a controversial guy in draft circles right now, usually the case with top ranked quarterbacks. You got clowns like Dan Orlovsky saying he's a combination of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts. So basically the best quarterback prospect in NFL history, your usual ESPN gibberish. You got other people taking shots at him from all over the place, saying, it's his fault USC went 7-5 even though they gave up like 50 points per game, or he's not going to be able to handle the pressure of being an NFL quarterback. They don't like him because he opted out of the bowl game. They don't like him because him and his father have already started treating this like a business. So, a bunch of things here and there. But strictly on the field, there's not a throw this guy can't make. He's a very good athlete and he can run as well. So he's still my top prospect. Quarterbacks matter, and he's one of the most talented to come out in recent memory. The Bears have quite the dilemma on their hands, but that's another story for another video. At 2, I have wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State. So this is a guy who's a stud, obviously. He's built like AJ Green, Julio Jones, Mike Evans, those kind of prospects. Big, strong, solid hands, fast, basically a complete threat at wideout. Tyreek Hill shows that wideouts can be MVP caliber players and guys you can build an offense around. So I really like Harrison Jr. Obviously, everybody does. He's one of the highest ranked NFL draft wide receivers I can think of in quite a long time. I have the first pick overall in my fantasy dynasty league, and I'm picking Harrison no matter who drafts him. At 3, I have Brock Bowers, tight end, Georgia. He's listed as a tight end, but make no mistake, this guy's a big receiver. And I don't mean a big lumbering receiver. He runs a 4.48 40-yard dash, so good luck covering that guy. I like him better than Kyle Pitts coming out of Florida. He's the top tight end prospect I've seen maybe ever. Without thinking about it too hard, I can't think of anybody who's better equipped to come into the NFL and dominate right away. Tight ends historically have a tough time making a difference right away. It's up to the team that drafts him to make use of him and get the most out of him and not waste him like the Falcons are doing with Pitts. But Bowers, he's a special talent. He's going to be one of the very best tight ends in the NFL right away. At 4, I have offensive tackle Olu Fanu from Penn State. This guy was a 3-star recruit who actually played on the same high school team as Caleb Williams. Penn State redshirted him since, he was a 3-star recruit offensive lineman, so of course they're going to redshirt him. But for the past 3 years, he's basically been a mainstay at left tackle, maybe the best offensive lineman in all of college football, plays on a pro-style offense, blocks for a potential first-round quarterback. Probably would have been the first tackle taken in the 2023 draft. Absolutely the head of the class when it comes to guys this cycle. The NFL is a passing league big time, and you need guys to block, and Fashanu should step in right away at left tackle and be a pretty solid contributor off the bat. At 5, I have wide receiver Malik Neighbors from LSU. So as of recording this video, he has not declared for the draft, but I consider that a mere formality. I think that he and Brian Thomas will both declare coming off a huge seasons thanks to Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner. So this draft is very, very deep with offensive skill talents, not just Marvin Harrison and Brock Bowers. Neighbors came off a season where he dropped 89 for 1569 with 14 touchdowns. He sits at a solid 6 foot, 200 pounds, good route runner. Definitely has the look of a WR1 at the next level. LSU is very good at producing offensive talent, and they should have quite a few more guys coming into the NFL next year. At number 6, I have quarterback Drake May from North Carolina. So from a pure talent perspective, he's right there with Caleb Williams. He sits 6'4", 230, absolute rocket for an arm, very good runner, but he's a redshirt sophomore, only 2 years of actual real experience, and he definitely took a step back in 2023. His numbers were slightly down across the board. North Carolina went 8-5. He made a lot of unwise decisions with the football. Definitely a work in progress. Drafting a redshirt sophomore quarterback in the top 10 has always been iffy. He could definitely flame out. He comes from a school that their last 2 quarterbacks, Mitch Trubisky and Sam Howell, not so great. I try not to judge quarterbacks by the schools they went to. You could have said the same about Ohio State up until CJ Stroud last year. So talent-wise, he's there. He's got the looks of a fantastic future NFL quarterback, but there's a lot more work to be done than people realize with May. At number 7, I have offensive tackle Joe Alt from Notre Dame. That's 7 for 7 with offensive players so far. Notre Dame is one of the better schools at producing solid offensive linemen. Ronnie Stanley and Quentin Nelson, 2 recent examples. Alt has done everything you could ask during his 3 years as the starting left tackle for the Irish. Allowed 3 sacks as a freshman, 0 as a sophomore, and only 1 as a junior. On top of that, he's got great size, fantastic athlete. There's really not much to nitpick here. He's a very good offensive lineman who would be the top tackle prospect most years. Just a good time to have a top 10 pick if you need offense, and if you're picking in the top 10, you probably need offense. At 8, I have defensive tackle Jon Newton from Illinois. Finally, a defensive player. He's my top ranked defensive prospect. Might not be a top 10 pick because defensive tackles, but he's a complete defensive lineman. 19 sacks for his career, topping out at 7.5 as a senior. Solid run defender, good athlete, maybe a tad undersized to be a true defensive tackle, but scheme versatile. Can play end, can play tackle, would be a fit with pretty much any team. He can get after the quarterback. So even though he might not be a top 10 pick, he's my top ranked defensive prospect right now. At 9, I have edge rusher Dallas Turner from Alabama. So I've had Turner in my top 5 during mock drafts here and there. I don't have him that high, mainly because the offensive talent in this draft is so spectacular, but he still might be my top ranked defensive prospect. He's right there with Newton in my opinion. Pass rushing, he started slow as a junior, but ended up with 10 sacks, giving him over 20 during his 3-year career. Former top recruit, very good athlete, very fast. Probably could stand to gain some strength, not much of an asset against the run, but pass rushing, that matters, and he can really get after the quarterback. A lot of teams run a 3-4, and he would be a perfect fit there. So I could see him as being the one defensive player who could break into the top 5, depending on how things go. Rounding out the top 10, we have wide receiver Rome Odunze from Washington. So if you've been living under a rock and haven't been following college football, this guy has put up a monster season playing for a championship contender as a redshirt junior. 87 catches, 1,553 yards, 13 touchdowns, and still has the championship game to add to those numbers. Sits at 6'3", 215 pounds, runs a 4.37 40-yard dash. So basically, he's got the size, he's got the speed, and he's got the production. So yet another player who would be the top receiver in a lot of classes. Will be quite a catch for somebody who misses out on Harrison and Bowers. I want to give two honorable mentions, Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix, both quarterbacks who I don't have in my top 10, but could easily be top 10 draft picks come April. There are so many teams that are in desperate need of quarterbacks that guys will rise, and those are my 2 picks right now. Both redshirt seniors, both transfers, both former high recruits who came into college with expectations and struggled, but really took off once they moved on to their new programs. Jaden Daniels especially went from a skinny, glorified running back at Arizona State to the Heisman Trophy. Just had a fantastic redshirt senior season, both as a runner and as a passer. I could see him going as high as 2 or 3, depending on where the chips fall. So as I don't have those 2 guys in my top 10, I think at least Daniels will for sure be a top 10 pick. Thanks for making it through this video. Let me know in the comments some of the guys you like that I don't have in my top 10, and some of the guys I may have in my top 10 that you're not that big of a fan of. Definitely a fluid thing. A lot of changes will come with the combine and all that stuff, but this is when draft season really gets started. So I'm excited to work on this class again. I haven't touched it in a few months and get some more out to you guys. Later on in January, I'll have my updated class for you guys. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. please like. Stay tuned for lots more content on Sports Gaming Rosters. Thank you, everybody.